The world of Genoa City is one built upon a foundation of secrets, a precarious architecture of hidden truths and carefully constructed lies where the revelation of a single buried fact can send tremors through the lives of everyone it touches. In this particular ecosystem of drama and desire, few events have been as quietly devastating and narratively potent as the convergence of two seemingly disparate storylines, the unexpected return of Noah Newman and the catastrophic exposure of Claire Grace's deepest, most damaging secret. This dual eruption into Kyle Abbott's life did not merely disrupt his present, it systematically dismantled the fragile peace he had constructed, leaving him emotionally bankrupt and desperately grasping for a foothold in a reality that had been utterly rewritten. The timing of these events was not coincidental but rather a masterful piece of storytelling synergy, where one man's arrival served as the catalyst for another's utter desperation, exposing the intricate web of connections that bind the families of Genoa City and proving that the past is never truly buried, merely waiting for the most inopportune moment to resurface. To understand the depth of Kyle's desperation, one must first appreciate the precarious state of his life prior to these seismic shifts. His marriage to Summer Newman Abbott had fractured, a casualty of his own infidelity with Audra Charles and the immense, often overwhelming, pressure of existing within the shadow of the powerful Abbott and Newman dynasties. His relationship with his father, Jack Abbott, was strained, a complex mix of filial duty, professional ambition, and a lingering desire for approval and autonomy. In the wake of his divorce, Kyle had embarked on a new relationship with Claire Grace, who presented herself as a beacon of stability, understanding, and quiet strength. She was, for all intents and purposes, an oasis away from the high-stakes corporate battles and familial expectations that defined his world. With Claire, Kyle saw a chance for a simpler, more genuine connection, a partnership built on something other than corporate strategy or family legacy. He was investing in a future with her, one that he believed was untainted by the complicated histories that usually dictated his choices. This investment made him vulnerable, for in trusting Claire, he was placing all his emotional eggs in a basket whose very foundation was a fabrication. Claire's secret was not a minor indiscretion or a simple white lie, it was a fundamental betrayal that struck at the very heart of Kyle's family and his sense of safety. Her true identity as the niece of Jordan, the vengeful woman who had terrorized the Newman family, holding them hostage and attempting to murder Nikki Newman, was a truth so explosive it recontextualized every moment Kyle had shared with her. Her initial arrival in Genoa City, under the guidance of Jordan, was part of a malicious plot to infiltrate and destroy the Newmans from within by targeting the vulnerable Victoria Newman. This history was a direct assault on the Newman family, to which Kyle is intrinsically linked through his son, Harrison, his ex-wife Summer, and his own long, intertwined history with the family. The revelation that the woman he had let into his life, his bed, and his heart was not only complicit in this campaign of terror but was a central player in it, was a psychological violation of the highest order. It meant that every tender moment, every shared confidence, every expression of care could be reinterpreted as a possible manipulation, a calculated move in a game he didn't even know he was playing. The foundation of their relationship was not just weak, it was actively malicious, and its exposure left Kyle not merely heartbroken, but profoundly humiliated and emotionally exposed. It is into this brewing storm that Noah Newman makes his return, and his timing is nothing short of pivotal. Noah, the often absent son of Nick and Sharon Newman, brother to Summer, represents a specific kind of stability and moral center, albeit from a distance. His life outside of Genoa City, pursuing his music career, has largely insulated him from the day-to-day scheming and emotional turmoil that consumes the city's residents. His return is typically prompted by family crisis, and his presence often serves as a grounding force, a reminder of a world outside the cutthroat business and personal vendettas. His arrival at this precise moment, when Claire's secret is teetering on the brink of exposure, acts as a narrative trigger. Noah is not directly responsible for uncovering the truth about Claire, that dreadful honor falls to the relentless efforts of Victoria, Cole, and eventually, Claire's own crumbling conscience, but his presence accelerates the inevitable confrontation. As Summer's brother, he is immediately plugged into the family's concerns, and his outsider perspective allows him to see the situation with a clarity those embroiled in it lack. His mere presence strengthens the Newman family unit, creating a united front that highlights Kyle's isolation. Noah's return signals a shifting of alliances, a closing of ranks, which leaves Kyle on the outside looking in, suddenly the ex-son-in-law who made the catastrophic error of trusting the family's enemy. The exposure of Claire's secret is a public and private humiliation for Kyle. It is not a quiet revelation shared in confidence but a brutal, open wound examined by the entire Genoa City elite. His judgment is called into question by everyone, his father, Jack, who likely saw the relationship as a rebound mistake but never imagined its sinister underpinnings, his ex-wife, Summer, whose concern for their son's safety mingles with a justified sense of "I told you so," and the entire Newman family, who now view him not just as a former in-law who strayed, but as a potential security risk who brought a viper into their midst. This public shaming is a critical component of his desperation. Kyle Abbott is a man who prides himself on his savvy, his charm, and his ability to navigate the complex social labyrinths of his world. To be made a fool of on such a grand scale, to have his emotional vulnerability so ruthlessly exploited and then displayed for all to see, is emasculating and devastating. His professional standing at Jabot, always somewhat contingent on his father's favor, is threatened by the personal scandal. How can he be trusted to run a global corporation when he cannot see the truth in the woman he shares his life with? The question hangs in the air, unspoken but deeply felt, compounding his desperation with a looming professional crisis. Furthermore, the revelation forces Kyle to confront not just Claire's betrayal, but his own flawed judgment. In the wake of his divorce, he was lost, and Claire offered a port in the storm. His willingness to believe in her was as much about his own need for redemption and a new beginning as it was about her deception. Her exposure, therefore, is also an exposure of his own desperation post-Summer. It holds a mirror up to his loneliness and his poor choices, forcing him to reckon with a self he may not wish to see. This internal crisis is perhaps more damaging than the external scorn. The man he believed himself to be, a good judge of character, a resilient abbot, a protective father, is called into question. If he could be so blind to this, what else has he missed? This existential doubt is a key ingredient in the recipe of his desperation. He is desperate not only to fix the situation but to reclaim his own sense of self, to find a way to rewrite the narrative from foolish victim to resilient survivor. The desperation manifests in several ways. There is a frantic energy to Kyle's actions in the aftermath. He may lash out in anger at Claire, at the Newmans for their judgment, or at his father for his lack of support. He might make impulsive business decisions at Jabot in an attempt to reassert his authority and capability. He may desperately try to reconnect with Summer, not necessarily out of a genuine desire to reunite, but from a need to return to the last period in his life that felt stable and secure, a time before his world was blown apart by betrayal. This retroactive longing is a classic symptom of desperation, the attempt to run backwards into a past that is no longer accessible. His interactions with his son, Harrison, become fraught with a new anxiety, and need to prove his competence as a father and protector after failing to see the danger in his own home. Every action is amplified, every emotion raw and close to the surface, because the persona of the cool, collected, corporate scion has been stripped away, leaving only the raw nerve of a humiliated and heartbroken man. The phrase "Noah appears just in time" thus takes on a profound double meaning. On a plot level, he appears just in time to witness the explosion and to be part of the family unit that weathers its aftermath, indirectly highlighting Kyle's solitude. On a deeper, thematic level, Noah represents a path not taken, a version of stability and emotional authenticity that Kyle has lost. Noah's timing is perfect because it underscores everything Kyle is currently lacking: family support, clear judgment, and a past not laden with catastrophic errors. Noah's presence is a constant, quiet reminder of what Kyle has sacrificed and the mess he has inadvertently created. In the end, the conjunction of Noah's return and Claire's exposed secret is a masterclass in soap opera storytelling, leveraging history, character, and timing to create a perfect storm of personal devastation. It demonstrates that in Genoa City, no action is isolated, and no relationship exists in a vacuum. The past is an active ghost, and secrets are not kept, they are merely waiting for their moment to rewrite the present. For Kyle Abbott, that moment left him desperate to reassemble the pieces of his life, desperate to regain the respect he has lost, and desperate to find a way out of the emotional prison constructed by the lies of the woman he loved and the timely arrival of a man who reminded him of everything he was no longer a part of. His desperation is the driving force for whatever comes next, a volatile and unpredictable energy that will undoubtedly shape his actions and the lives of those around him for a long time to come, proving that the most compelling drama is not just about what happens, but about the devastating and desperate aftermath of the truth finally, and irrevocably, coming to light. The weight of Genoa City's silence was always deceiving. To the outsider, it looked like a town painted in ordinary shades, families rushing into crimson lights for their morning coffee, suits hustling in and out of Newman Tower, and whispers floating around society's polished tables. But behind the sheen, betrayal brewed like a storm trapped in a bottle. That night, Kyle Abbott found himself pacing the Abbott living room with the air heavy against his chest, the kind of pressure that made his throat dry and his pulse uneven. He had just learned something he wished he could unhear, something so devastating it knocked the breath from his lungs. Claire Newman, the woman who had somehow slipped past his defenses and made him believe in starting over, had been hiding a secret so explosive it threatened to destroy everything. He replayed the moment again and again, her eyes darting away, her voice trembling, the truth breaking loose before she could stop herself. Kyle wanted to hate her for it, but hating Claire wasn't simple. She had been the one who comforted him when summer seemed lost in her own ambitions, the one who had pulled him out of spiraling nights where he drowned in regrets over every failed relationship, every misstep as a father, every mistake that still kept him awake. Claire had seen the vulnerable parts of him no one else dared to touch, and she didn't flinch. She had stood by him when he doubted himself. But all that trust felt poisoned now, because the secret she carried wasn't small, it wasn't the kind of lie you could sweep under a rug. It was the kind that ripped lives apart. Meanwhile, across town, Claire sat alone in her suite at the Grand Phoenix, staring at the same four walls she had painted with her restless confessions over the last few weeks. Her secret was out now, hanging in the air like shattered glass she couldn't sweep away. Her heart pounded every time her phone buzzed, terrified that Kyle would be the one calling to say it was over, that he couldn't look at her the same way again. She thought of how Noah once told her, back when everything was simpler, that truth always has a way of clawing its way out. She had laughed then, thinking she could control it, thinking she could keep Noah and the past tucked away where no one in Genoa City could reach. But Noah had been right. Truth wasn't just a word, it was a living thing, hungry and merciless. Noah's return wasn't planned. He hadn't meant to come back to Genoa City at all, not after leaving for London to rebuild his life. But something gnawed at him, something he couldn't explain, a pull stronger than his art shows, stronger than the distance he had carefully put between himself and the tangled Newman web. He arrived quietly, suitcase in hand, stepping into the familiar chaos of the family that never quite let him go. The whispers reached him faster than he expected. Claire had been hiding something big, something connected to him. His stomach turned as he realized the path he thought he'd closed was wide open again, and at the center of it was Kyle, his cousin, the man who unknowingly walked straight into the shadow of a truth Noah had tried to bury. For Kyle, desperation had become second nature. He kept asking himself the same questions. Why didn't she tell me sooner? Was everything between us just another game? Could I ever look at her and not see betrayal? He was no stranger to secrets. After all, he was an Abbott, raised in a world where deals were struck in whispers and rivalries destroyed trust at the core, but what Claire had done hit different. She had entangled his heart before he even knew what he was stepping into, and now, the trap had sprung. Jack tried to calm him, urging him not to make rash decisions, reminding him that people make mistakes. But Kyle wasn't sure this was a mistake he could forgive. Noah finally crossed paths with him late that night. Kyle was storming out of society, his mind racing, when he saw Noah standing by the entrance, suitcase still at his side as if he hadn't even unpacked. Their eyes locked, and the silence between them was electric, thick with history and suspicion. Kyle's jaw tightened, his fists clenched, and the first words he spat out weren't a greeting but an accusation. "You knew, didn't you? You knew she was lying to me." Noah didn't flinch. He had expected this. His voice was steady but carried the weight of regret. I didn't want you dragged into it. I didn't want anyone dragged into it. But Claire, she's not who you think she is. Those words hit Kyle like a knife. Not who you think she is. They echoed in his chest, breaking him piece by piece. He wanted to demand answers, to shake Noah until every truth spilled out, but part of him already knew. Claire's secret wasn't just about a past fling or a bad choice. It was deeper, sharper, tied directly to the Newman family's endless cycle of manipulation and betrayal. And Kyle had stepped right into the center of it without realizing. The penthouse suite at the Grand Phoenix was awash in the soft glow of Genoa City's skyline, the lights twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows like stars caught in a net. Kyle Abbott paced the sleek hardwood floors, his polished loafers clicking with each agitated step. His jaw was tight, his blue eyes stormy with a mix of betrayal and desperation. The weight of Claire's secret, now exposed, pressed against his chest like a vice. He stopped near the bar, pouring himself a generous splash of bourbon, the amber liquid catching the light as it swirled in the glass. He didn't drink it, just held it, as if the warmth could steady his unraveling world. Claire Grace stood across the room, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her face a mask of defiance and guilt. Her auburn hair fell in loose waves over her shoulders, but her usual poise was fractured. The air between them crackled with unspoken accusations. Kyle's mind raced, replaying the moment Noah Newman had burst through the door, his voice sharp and commanding, laying bare the truth that Claire had kept buried for months. It wasn't just a secret, it was a bomb, and it had detonated in the heart of Kyle's carefully constructed life. How long, Claire? Kyle's voice was low, almost a growl, as he set the glass down with a deliberate thud. How long were you going to let me believe you were someone you're not? Claire's lips parted, but no words came. Her green eyes flickered with something, regret, maybe, or fear, but she quickly masked it with a tilt of her chin. I never lied to you, Kyle. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing, he snapped, his hand slicing through the air. You let me think we were building something real, and all this time, you were hiding who you really are. Did you think I wouldn't find out? That Noah wouldn't show up and blow your whole charade to pieces? Noah Newman. The name hung in the air like smoke. He'd always been a wild card in Genoa City, drifting in and out of town with that quiet intensity that made people uneasy. But tonight, he'd been a storm, crashing into the penthouse with a file in hand and a truth that couldn't be ignored. Claire's past wasn't just checkered, it was a labyrinth of deception, and Noah had the map. Kyle still couldn't shake the image of Noah's face, all sharp angles and righteous anger, as he tossed the file onto the coffee table, its contents spilling out like poison. The file was still there, sitting innocently on the glass surface, its manila cover belying the chaos it contained. Kyle's eyes darted to it, then back to Claire. What's in there, Claire? What else don't I know? Because I'm starting to think I don't know you at all. Claire took a step forward, her heels clicking softly, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Kyle, you do know me. The parts that matter, the way I feel about you, the way we are together, that's real. The rest, it's just history. It's not who I am now. History? Kyle laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the quiet room. You call working with Jordan, helping her manipulate half this town, history? You were her accomplice, Claire. You helped her try to destroy my family, and you didn't think that was worth mentioning? Claire flinched, but she didn't back down. I was young, Kyle. I was lost. Jordan, she had a hold on me. You don't know what it's like to grow up under someone like that, to feel like you have no way out. I broke free. I came here to start over. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to lose you. Kyle's hands clenched into fists at his sides. You didn't want to lose me, or you didn't want to lose what I could give you? Access to the abbots, to Jabot, to everything my family has built. Was that your plan all along, Claire? Get close to me, play the sweet, innocent newcomer, and then what? Take us down from the inside? Her eyes widened, and for the first time, a flash of anger broke through her composure. You think I'm some kind of mastermind? That I've been plotting against you this whole time? Kyle, I love you. I've never loved anyone the way I love you. If I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't be standing here begging you to listen. Kyle turned away, running a hand through his dark hair, his mind a whirlwind of doubt and pain. He wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. The months they'd spent together, the late-night talks, the stolen kisses in the Jabot boardroom, the way she'd made him laugh for the first time since his divorce from Summer, those moments felt real. But now, with Noah's revelations ringing in his ears, he couldn't separate truth from lies. The door to the penthouse swung open again, and Noah stepped inside, his leather jacket still dusted with snow from the late winter storm outside. His presence seemed to suck the air out of the room, his dark eyes scanning the scene before landing on Kyle. You okay, man? He asked, his voice softer now, but still carrying that edge of authority. Kyle's jaw tightened. What do you think, Noah? You drop a bomb like this and expect me to be okay? Noah shrugged, unapologetic. You needed to know the truth. She wasn't going to tell you, and you deserved better than being played. I wasn't playing him. Claire's voice cracked, her composure slipping further. She turned to Noah, her eyes blazing. You don't get to swoop in here like some hero and act like you know me. You don't know what I've been through, what I've fought to leave behind. You have no right to judge me. Noah crossed his arms, leaning against the doorframe with a calm that only made her angrier. I'm not judging you, Claire. I'm stating facts. You worked with Jordan. You helped her target the Newmans, the Abbotts, everyone in this town who trusted you. You can't just wave that away because you've decided to play house with Kyle.